Hi, I'm Charmaine J.
And I'm Karis.
And welcome, guys, to our new podcast,
Yay!
Uncommon Humanity.
Humanity.
Woo!
Yay!
I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit like right now because it's the first episode. So, right, guys, we've actually recorded episode 2, 3, and 4.
Yep, that's right.
But this is like our 8th take of
the first episode.
of the first episode, or maybe just like the front part of the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're so nervous. I'm very nervous. Are you nervous?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to try very hard not to be nervous, okay?
Mm.
So, for those of you tuning in, I'm Charmaine. I'm the lead pastor of The Evolution, and Karis is.
The youth pastor.
Yeah. Wow, that came out so smooth, eh?
That is the result of the 8th take.
The 8th take. Yeah, youth, all listen, all the TiVo youth tuning in, right? You know, she cannot call herself pastor. She just cannot bring herself to call herself pastor. So, you guys need to do it for her next year. Call until she stops cringing. Pastor Karis. Okay, so anyway, right, we're dropping this today because this year
Yep.
our church was supposed to launch.
Oh,
We
yes.
just changed our name last year to
Yeah.
The Evolution, all those of you who don't know. And we were supposed to officially launch the church this year, but then we ran straight into
COVID.
COVID happened.
Yeah.
COVID happened to all of us.
Mm.
And so the launch didn't happen,
Mm.
which I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed, not disappointed, because I think it was a good thing in the end.
Yeah.
We got really creative this year and we became
Yeah.
more ourselves.
Yes.
And so one of the things we're doing in lieu of that until we can launch the church is we are dropping this crazy podcast.
Yay.
So, Karis, why are we doing this podcast?
Well, we're doing it because I think the main thing, one of it is we really want to give people a glimpse, especially those who are in TiVo, a
Mhm.
glimpse of what we talk about, what we think about.
What sometimes me and Karis bore the team about.
But it's interesting stuff,
To us,
important stuff.
no lah, we'll make it interesting for all you tuning in. Yeah, because the two of us like to go down rabbit holes about things.
Mm,
Yeah, all kinds of things, huh?
yeah,
Philosophy,
anything.
neuroscience,
Leadership.
podcasts that we are listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the second reason is I think we want to have conversations about culture and leadership and a little bit about Christianity because we feel like those conversations have been stuck for quite a while lately. Except for a few amazing voices, which we will give a shout out to as we
Yeah.
go on, that we listen to and are just so amazed by and changed by. And so this is going to be a chance for the two of us to work out our thoughts.
Mm.
It's also, we're going to have some guests come on, probably.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully, people who will really push our thinking and break
Yeah.
our boundaries. And for those of you who are not from our church tuning in, we hope that it really helps you out a little bit in your faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Karis, actually, personally, right, what are you looking forward to?
Looking forward to deeper conversations, interesting thoughts, and also all the guests that are coming on.
All the guests that are coming on. So that they can talk and you don't have to talk, is it?
No, so I can get a chance to hear how they think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to like doing this thing with you.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I really enjoy our conversations. Yeah, because guys, right, you know when we go on holiday, right, or if it's late at night in the office,
Mm.
the two of us can really, really go at it. Yeah, then her best friend gets super bored. Like halfway, it's like, oh my god, 1 a.m. What is
What are we
Pastor and
talking
Karis
about this?
talking about? Like, what the brain? Yeah, okay, so anyway, right, today's episode is going to be the evolution.
Of the evolution.
Yeah, so as we said, we just went through a name change, and it's
Yeah.
because of some significant thoughts that we've had over the past 5 years that have caused us to evolve and to change and to think differently about our faith.
Yes.
Yeah, now, so the reason why we're getting into this, right, is because we feel that in the past, I don't know, couple of years especially, right, there's been a lot of deconstruction going on in Christianity. I don't know if it's the case with other religions. I mean, there's certainly something going on in the larger culture. But for us, because we're in Christianity, we feel it pretty strongly. I mean, the past couple of years, for example, we've had some big heroes that we grew up with in the church. Like, for example, Hillsong's Marty Sampson
Yeah.
announced that he was deconstructing his faith.
Yeah.
And he got so much hate online and
Oh,
quite
my.
a bad response from some leaders in Singapore.
Mm.
And then there was also
Joshua Harris.
Yeah, Joshua Harris,
the
who
author
wrote,
of the I Kiss Dating Goodbye.
yeah, which I don't know, people are so up in arms about that book. I'm 50-50. I think
Mm.
there's bad results from
Mm-mm.
it, but I also think that there was some good stuff. So I don't know how
Yeah.
I feel about that one.
Yep.
But anyway, I feel personally that there's been a huge change in the questions young people are asking. I
Yes.
think there's a lot of questions millennials want to ask, but dare not bring up in the church.
Yeah.
And I think the conversation's actually leaning towards wanting to become very sophisticated and very nuanced.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the case, right? I think with even the younger ones coming in.
Yeah, even with the younger youth, they are coming in, they're asking deeper questions about spirituality.
Yeah, and they will actually ask you like, but what does this mean in the Bible and what does that mean in the Bible? They
Yeah.
really have very different questions, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
curious and very.
Yeah, because our church is predominantly young people, young adults and young people. So we can really feel it that culture is really changing.
Yep.
And in my opinion, I think God is actually really moving. And I think it's the church now that really needs to keep up and start to evolve with God as He moves in culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Pastor, what about culture is changing?
So I think first and foremost, I think in the larger picture of things, right, we are living in very
Yeah.
turbulent times, right?
Yes.
In a good way, but very, very disconcerting. Because I think like a lot of issues that have been always there are now emerging to the forefront. For example, diversity,
Yeah.
inclusiveness,
Yes.
gender, which we talk a lot about in our church, sexuality, racism
Yeah.
this year is a big one. Climate change is another huge pressure that I think our generation is dealing with in a way that our parents didn't deal with. Yeah, so I think on the large scale, right, there's all these really major shifts in thinking, shifts in language, shifts in perceptions. And then on the spiritual level, you start to see like there's a lot of disconnect nowadays. Not just Christians with their faith, but I think even non-Christians and how they feel about organized religion. Yeah, and I think you pointed out, right? It's
Yeah.
more than just the relevant issue.
Yeah, which is they're not just thinking on in terms of like how relevant the church is, like on the exterior factor, like the lights, the sounds,
Whether we wear Nike sneakers.
how you look basically.
You're not wearing Nike sneakers
Oh.
today. Why are you so irrelevant?
Oh no.
Yeah, okay, go on.
Yeah, so they are asking deeper questions, I think. They are really asking how the Bible answers questions
Yeah.
to all the issues that are surfacing in the world.
Like whether it meets real life.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's funny, right? So we have a few people that do come around our church every now and then, and they love us and they love our church, and we consider them very good friends. One of them is my uni mate Vania, and she comes around every now and then, a few times a year. But I think the big hindrance to her really like being planted in the church is just she's so disillusioned with organized religion and the bad effects she's seen it create. Yeah. It's a strange thing. Like I wonder whether, Vania, I wonder whether one day you'll be regular in church. But like but I get it, and it's not and it's she's not someone that is like looking to be offended or looking to just find excuse not to come to church. But I think it's just really a big obstacle. Yeah.
Like she believes in God, believes in Jesus.
Yeah,
believes in the
loves our
Bible.
community, loves our church. But
She just can't find that connection point.
yeah, she can't reconcile the issue of organized religion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wonder actually whether this happens in other faiths or it's unique to Christianity.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I'm really curious. I'm sure it happens, but I wonder if it's on the scale that we're experiencing. Yeah. Well, if it's just Christianity, I'll be very, very worried.
Very sad.
Very sad, yeah. Then I think there's also people who are disillusioned specifically with evangelical Christianity. And the very fundamental evangelical Christianity that and in the last few years has been very prominent.
Yeah.
I think partly because of the US and then in Singapore too. We shall mention but you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I was on a podcast recently, right? On Just Say Only. So shout out to Cassie, you have an amazing podcast. And she got me on to talk about religion and to talk about how can we do religion better?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, so Cass, thanks for sharing this, like she shared was that she grew up Catholic, very fundamental Catholic, and was told, you do this, you go to hell, you do that, you go to hell. And so it wasn't a great experience. And then in her teenage years, her friends invited her to contemporary Christian church, which is generally lah, and I would classify us in that category.
Yeah.
Contemporary, evangelical, high pressure, very, very militant with evangelism. And just got really turned off as well. So Cass, sorry that happened to you. But I think one of the wonderful things she shared was, she said, deep down inside, like, I want to have a relationship with God. And I want my kids to be able to come to church. But I want church to be a safe space where they can explore and they can ask the hard questions and not just be told quick answers
Yeah.
and rules. And I think one of the fears she shared also was that because of all that she's been taught at the back of her mind, she goes, I've done all these things. Like, am I too far away from God to ever come back? And I was very stunned by that question because I think our church has grown differently in the past couple of years. And the only thing I could say to her was, I feel, you might feel that way, but for all you know, God's actually bringing you closer to Him than further away.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just need to hear more of that right now, that God isn't as simplistic as you do one wrong thing and you're going to hell. But there's this journey that He's taking us on to come closer to Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely I think that's one of the obstacles right now that we need to be better at showing the love and goodness of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like growing number of people who are disillusioned, not just with fundamental churches, but also with contemporary
Yeah.
relevant churches. I mean,
Because I was joking with one of my best friends a few weeks ago. I said, sometimes contemporary church is really just fundamentals and Nikes.
oh,
And again, if you are tuning on YouTube, right, I am wearing Nike shoes. Okay, I know nothing against like being
Yeah.
hip and
Yes.
fashionable, but I do think it's almost as though I think we've taken relevancy so far
oh, yeah.
that we've updated the clothes, we've updated the lights, we've updated even the language with hipper words and hipper
Yeah.
slogans, and we use inclusivity, we use things like come as you are. But in essence, nothing has changed. And I think that's really what the problem is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really problematic, I gotta
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, no, I think that really is the problem, right? Because really, again, I feel like even right now, but that could be because things are changing. There are very few voices right now in Christianity that are looked to for genuinely new content, genuinely new thoughts on faith, genuinely new engagements with Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that really, really tough and really, really difficult. It's as though now I feel almost being relevant has become the obstacle to really knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being really deep with our faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, PC, the truth is that like social justice, caring for the poor, all these are like inherent part of the gospel. I mean, they've always been present in the gospel. So
Yeah.
what's the problem with the
I mean, it's interesting, right?
with
I mean,
us-
after
with
you
us?
guys have gone through biblical interpretation class with
Yeah.
me, are you a little bit stunned that
Yeah.
it feels like you're reading a whole other Bible?
Yes.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. That we've never seen it this way.
Yeah, because I think the thing is the Bible is so porous and so open to viewpoint and interpretation that if you grow up with something long enough and it's rehearsed to you on the pulpit long enough, you start to see only one side of the gospel. That is the ABCs of how to say the sinner's prayer and get saved. And then after that, I don't know, the 5 purposes which we
Yeah.
do in our church. You worship, you fellowship, you
Yeah.
etc. etc. And then you just get stuck seeing only that. And you don't realize that, but the whole Bible is about social justice, it's about changing humanity and changing the world and carrying a different spirit and value system.
Yeah.
So if anything, I think culture becoming more social justice orientated right now, all the diversity, all the new conversations and the deeper conversations, I actually think Christianity has such a potential to rise to that conversation because it's actually our whole Bible.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But PC, that being said, it doesn't mean that personal salvation, personal success, personal significance is not at all important, right?
No, they're very important because at the end of the day, well, Christmas is coming around soon, right? One of the reasons Jesus came was to set us free to be our best selves, to be love and goodness, and not just so we can be happy and successful and have a big bank account, but so that we can be love and goodness to others, love and goodness to the world. And in doing so, salvation permeates not just that one human being, but the community and everything. And for us, we believe a lot in creation care, and like the whole of creation is included in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually think Christianity has way more potential, but the way it's fighting right now against that, as though like this is some tide trying to take away. Actually, it's very funny, right? I go, maybe you should let the tide come out, let the tsunami into the church. You know, bring gender equality, bring anti-racism into the church. Yeah, because in some sense, then it's almost as though culture is doing a little bit better than Christianity.
Oh no.
Okay, there, I said it. Okay, let's swing the conversation around before I say something I regret. So we used to be called
Revival Nation.
Okay, thank you for saying that for me. Like, that name used to be so cool 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
It's still cool though, to some of the youth.
Oh my gosh, like the Revival Nation. Who on earth knows what revival means if you're not a Christian?
That's true too.
Do they even know? Our youth know what revival means, man?
I think they know. Something to do with like resurrecting.
Oh yeah, that name gives me so much grief. You know, even like boomers, right? Whenever they come to our church, why y'all call the church Revival Nation only? You almost call it Revival Nations.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, so back to this, right? Actually, we were doing very well as a church, as Revival Nation. We were a growing church. We were always a youth church, so we had lots of young people. And we really, actually, by the time we were hitting the 5th year, we were really growing. We were like growing pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And we could have kept going, but I don't know lah. For me personally, it felt at that point of time, even though we were doing everything that we were supposed to be doing, like something was still kind of missing inside. Yeah. And I don't know whether you guys felt it, but as a lead pastor, I felt it. And I was feeling burnt out by the whole just keep win soul, disciple, grow the CG, multiply the CG. And not that I don't believe, we actually still don't do those things, so let me qualify, but something in me kind of wasn't satisfied. Yeah, and then I went away to seminary.
Yeah.
So that's part of our story too. I went away to seminary in California, Fuller Seminary. And while I was there, I had a revolution of my faith. Like, you know, people were warning me before I went to seminary, like, you're going to go there and seminary become the graveyard of your faith. But listen, that did not happen. Like, my faith actually resurrected and it came to life in a deeper way that brought me so much joy. And the great thing was because I was flying back and forth, I had to do 1 term there and then come back home and run the church and go back and do 1 term back and forth. Our church, actually, our team got a chance to, every time I learned something, I got to bring it back and discuss it with y'all. And as I grew in my idea of the gospel as a social justice gospel, our team also began to grow into that significantly.
That's true.
Yeah. Actually, what was it like for y'all, that process? Because I have a very, from my point of view, right, but for y'all, right, being here, what was that like? What was it like running church?
Oh my. Running church. Obviously, I think the first thing is all of us was like, wow, there's so much things to think about.
Right.
So many decisions, so many factors to, like everything, finances, to people, to ministries, to teams.
Yeah, I think the first year, right, I still call back every week, right? Have pastoral meeting with y'all. Then by the second year, I was like, I'm just going to throw it all to them.
Yeah.
And so these peeps were doing uni and running church like full-time pastors.
Yeah, I remember we had like conversations like on the phone call, we'd be like, what should we do about this? Then we go, okay, none of us know what to do. Then we go, what do you think PC will do in this situation? Then we just like, okay, let's go with this.
Yeah. But they were amazing lah. Y'all were amazing. Y'all grew so much during that period. Y'all didn't need me at all.
No, PC, we still need you.
Aw. No, they really didn't, guys. They were just fantastic. So, anytime I want to leave, that's it really. I'll just resign and then they can take over.
Yeah, that was one part of it. The other part of it was, I think, just every time when PC you are back, we had a lot of conversations. I think that was like the start of just having a lot of conversations
A
on
lot,
a lot
hor.
of like the social justice issues, questions in the Bible, how we read the Bible, how we think, how does God think. I think that was like the beginning point 5-6 years ago.
And do you think all of the team responded well to that?
Most,
Yeah.
I would say it really jars your thought. I really, it depends, I guess. Some people, for them, it's like, wow, they're learning something new, it's exciting. For some, it's like, oh my, it's going to change everything that I've been doing or I've been thinking.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting thought, right? Because if you were to ask us, it would be a very long conversation, like what actually changed. It would be so hard to pinpoint exactly to you. Like, there are tangible things, lah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's been such a long process that it's not like you just one new teaching and then the next moment everything is fine. Like, there's just repeated conversation and thinking through how to do church differently,
Yeah.
how to EV differently, evangelize differently, how to speak the message of the Bible differently on the pulpit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you say it's been an easy transition the past couple of years?
I would say, wow, I would say it's been a good transition.
Some
Like,
things are really easy,
yeah,
right?
I mean, like there are a lot of good that came out of that. I feel like I look at where we are at, as in individually, as personally, plus also when I look at our team and how we've come this far, the things that we are thinking about, things that we're talking about, or even when we talk about God, or how we talk about the Bible, spirituality, or even when we talk about issues, or when we converse with even our teams or our people that we're leading, it's changed so much and it's really helping them to connect to God on a deeper level, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. And we're definitely attracting different people as well now, huh?
Yeah.
People who want something more, who want to live a bigger life. I would say the ones who resonate the most with our church are going to be people like that, who want to care about making the world a better place, who want to have a deeper exchange in their character with God.
Yeah.
I think that has definitely changed. But definitely, I think it's been both easy and hard. Like, the easy part has been, I think when it's truth, right, it resonates. It sets you free. You just know it's right, and you gravitate to it immediately.
Yeah.
Your spirit can recognize truth. Well, hopefully most people can recognize truth. But generally, I think our team recognized it. But the transition was difficult. Having to change the habits of how we do things and run church, the way we do leadership was very difficult.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
more difficult for some, less difficult for some.
Yeah.
Like, depending.
Yes.
In fact, funnily, I think the newer people have an easier time with who we are now.
Yeah.
I think we have the hardest time
Yeah.
because our old stuff keeps
Yeah.
coming back and
Yes.
conflicting.
But basically, maybe one of the challenges I would say maybe when we are transiting was that we know it on a heart level, like even maybe on a head level as well. Like we know what is God thinks about this, but to translate it down to how it really looks like
In policy.
Yeah, like in how we lead.
Yeah.
In like reshaping or asking ourselves like in every aspect of like how do we lead, how do we mentor people, do we need to make adjustments to
How much space do we make for people in
like
conversation?
we have to ask a lot
Yeah.
of questions to make those changes happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I would say even right now, I'll be very honest if you're listening in, like there are still going to be some people in the community that struggle. And I find the Christians are the ones who struggle the most.
Oh no.
No, in my opinion, it really does. But I think if they have a heart for God, it will turn out to be a hard struggle, but it will turn out to be worth it, because then those people turn out to be ones who really they're very grounded in their understanding of the Bible.
Yeah.
I think the ones in our church who have been Christians for a very long time, the turnaround is slower, but the impact that can make subsequently is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of positives to me compared to negatives lah.
Yes.
So we've definitely chosen a harder path in some ways because change is always hard, but I think it's super necessary right now, and I think it's about being at the cutting edge together with God as He changes the church.
Yeah, I was just thinking whether is it hard and is it difficult because we're just at the really like at the just the starting point of the change. And maybe the whole Christianity church
Yeah,
was
the taking the beachhead moment.
oh my yeah.
You know what they say, right? First to go, first to die. Yeah, maybe, possibly. I don't want to be egotistical and say our church is really right at the cutting edge, because we've been inspired by so many mentors, right? And people whom we look up to. And yeah, so please go listen to those people because I think they are really at the forefront.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is difficult because it's never been done before. There's no model for us to follow. Definitely trying to find another progressive church in Singapore has been so challenging because at the end of the day, right, I think if you know the two of us are very reluctant leaders. No, we love leadership, right? But we're very shy people. We hate, like, I laugh at Karis because she cannot call herself pastor, right? But I also had that problem previously. I just refuse to call myself pastor because I find it awkward and weird, and like I just really want to be a part of the team and stuff. But then we're in leadership positions, so I don't know. I don't have an objective eye of where it is, but definitely we tried to find friends, people, mentors, but it's been challenging, and we've had to reach quite far to find alternative voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next thing we want to talk about is, so PC, how do we ground the idea of evolving Christianity?
So for our church, right, the passage that has been very helpful, or rather the name of God that has been very helpful is I am who I am. Now in Hebrew, now I'm not a Hebrew scholar, but this is simple enough. That whole translation is not just I am who I am. That's the shortened version. It actually means I am who I am and I will be who I will be. And so for us, right, we've chosen to take that as a indicator of who God is. That we believe. We still actually, if you come and meet us, right, we're very conservative guys. So don't just assume we're going to be some liberals that are pushing a liberal agenda. Like, we believe in the fundamentals. We believe that the nature and the character of God is unchanging. He is who He is.
Yeah.
But we also believe that the way God works, His methods, His ethics, His policies, it changes. And I think that's actually really in line with the Bible, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Bible, the rules and the laws, just even Leviticus, right, was redacted and updated when they went from a nomadic people to a people living in a city. And like as society advanced, the rules changed as well. In Jesus' time, so many other rules have been added because society had moved on. And so that is the way we choose to approach Christianity now. I think just the general principle of how we look at God and we look at the Bible.
Yeah.
That God is the same in certain things. His character doesn't change. His values don't change. But the ways of doing things definitely does.
Yeah. Another thing is that we do really believe in the authority of the Bible.
Yes, we should state that very clearly.
Yes, we
Before
do.
people crucify us. Yeah, we actually believe in the authority of the Bible.
We believe that the truth is Jesus.
Yeah, we believe that there is an ultimate truth. However, we don't think human beings sometimes are capable of accurately interpreting that truth. Yeah, so we just want to keep growing. And I think that's like really how it started for us, right? I went over to seminary, I learned more about the Bible, and the more I learned about God, it changed the way I did my faith. Yeah. So that's a great quote, right, that I wanted to throw out here. So again, right, if you're not listening to this guy, you need to go and listen to his podcast.
Yes.
And the guy is Owen McManus and Aaron McManus, his son. Okay, and they have the Battle Ready podcast and they run Mosaic Church in LA. And he has this great line. He says, "Yesterday's heresy is tomorrow's orthodoxy." Actually, it's quite funny. He tells a really funny story about he said this to Brian Houston, and Brian Houston was like, "I hope not." Yeah. But anyway, right, yeah. So I think really if you look at the whole history of Christianity and the church, what is, for example, widely accepted today was once upon a time someone's heresy.
Interesting.
Like, for example, in Singapore, I mean, most contemporary churches, right, speak in tongues, believe in the move of the Holy Spirit. But just 110 years ago, Azusa Street was highly condemned and highly controversial in the church. Yeah. Whereas now it's accepted.
Yeah.
So I just think every evolution, which is why I think we feel so much trepidation sometimes even doing this podcast, every evolution in the church has been met with both excitement and passion, but also a lot of fear and pushback.
So it's always been like polarizing in a way.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And I think also like things that used to work in church, for example, like personal salvation, prophecy, everything, it doesn't mean that it's not relevant anymore, but that it has to go to another level.
Especially right now, lah. Because like what we said earlier, culture is really shifting. And I think one of the big things that's happening is like ideas of power are being dismantled. People are disillusioned with authority, mistrusting of authority a lot of times. And I think another thing that's coming up is in spirituality, people are looking more at a holistic view of who we are. Our soul, our emotions, our health, our mind, our pursuits in life. There's just a very nuanced view now as compared to before, in my opinion.
Especially because of like the new gen, right?
Yeah.
How Gen Z looks at the world or thinks about the world is shifting and is different.
Yeah, isn't that so funny? I thought millennials were already a shift, but now Gen Z is a whole other shift. Yeah, so they are definitely more social. Well, okay, this is debatable for another podcast, but like they are very more hyper aware of issues. They know a lot of language. They know mental health. They know
Christian care,
social
like justice,
environmental justice, racism. They know all the trendy words. But again, how deeply they know those words is questionable because they could know it on a very superficial, like call out cancel culture way, but not necessarily understand the real root of how to change the world. Yeah, but they're definitely more aware. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So like what we said, being relevant now is more than just lights. It's more than just the songs you sing. It's more than our Nike sneakers. It's more than just changing the language on your Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, so again, I think very few people right now actually blow me away when I'm online. Very few. Yeah.
So PC, what does it take to evolve? What does it take to change?
I should ask you that question. Okay, so it's only been 5 years for us.
Yeah.
And we're still really actually working away at it. Actually, this year has been a tough year for us to work away at it. But my first thing would be, I think connection with God is central.
Yeah.
Well, at least in the Christian context. Because for us, I think it started with that. If you ask me why our church evolved, I cannot tell you that it was us. Because there are too many things in our journey that point to it's like God ordered our steps and caused it to happen at the right moment, at the right time, and at the right pace over the past 5 years. And so I just think it's got to start with God. And I think actually I this is my personal observation as a leader. If a church doesn't change, sometimes I really do have questions whether they're still connected to God. If something is not changing, I don't mean rituals. Because I think you can find God in a traditional church in a beautiful way. Right now in my life at this point in time, I love walking into traditional churches and being in a traditional service. Because there's space to contemplate. But the key thing is, are people's lives changing? Is the way a leadership team thinks evolving? Because to me, the evidence of God, one of the things is change. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take number 2?
I think the second thing is that PC, which is to not be afraid to deconstruct and to know that deconstructing is probably part of the journey of change. To kind of accept it and not be very fearful about it. I get that.
Yeah. You've been meeting a lot of fearful Christians, huh?
But change can be fearful, busy. I mean,
I get scared too. Yeah.
So I think the thing is to not be afraid and to to walk through the whole journey with God, definitely. Not run away from God and figure out, but to walk
Yeah.
it through.
Yeah, I think because also for Singaporeans, right, I think we have a lot of pressure to conform. I think that's one of the biggest obstacles to church moving forward is the pressure to conform.
Yeah.
And I think it happens with the whole thing. Like for us, I think one of the scary things has been like, oh my God, are we going too far off mainstream? Are we pushing the boundaries too hard? That was a huge fear for us, wouldn't you say, at the beginning, the first few years? Now less lah. Now we try to laugh about it and yeah. You want to tell the funny story?
Of like this, of someone who's
yeah.
who said that our church is
Who looked at our Instagram?
who looked at our Instagram and then commented and said that we are not mainstream.
Like, how do you tell that about us from looking at our Instagram?
But in other words, they're saying we are cool, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think they were saying it cool. They were saying it as an insult at that point of time. No, they said to your sister, right?
yes.
And then said we're not mainstream. And then your sister quit back in her head. Yeah, because Singaporean, right, you cannot say people face to face one. So she said it in her head. She's like, yeah, you're mainstream. You're what, mainstream and too late?
Oh no.
Something like that lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we try to take a little bit more pride in it right now that we're not that mainstream. We just take it as, okay, good, then we're a little bit cutting edge. Yeah, but I will be very real. It's a real fear for us. We do get scared sometimes. What's number 3?
Number 3 is to be open to like new ideas, conversations, questions, uncertainty.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's a difficult one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a great fear in the church nowadays of being uncertain. I think we've lived too long in the absolute truth arena. The Bible says this, God told me that. And I just think no. Yeah. I think inherent to faith is this idea of uncertainty. Inherent to the pain of life and walking with God is that not everything always goes according to plan or prayer. Yeah. So be willing to do that. Be willing to ask questions. Be willing to hear new ideas. Don't create your own echo chamber of only reading the books you want to read and the preachers you want to listen to. Yeah, I think that's really important.
But it's really difficult to do, right, Pastor, sometimes?
Yeah, because it's hard also because as a leader, I don't want people to get confused. But I do make it a point to try and expose our youth to new ideas. But depending on the person, at a rate they can handle. Like not so much confusion in follow-up lesson, for example, that they're like, how do I be a Christian? Like too many things, right? Yeah, so we do still take it a step at a time.
Yeah.
But definitely if you've already been a Christian for a very long time, I think you need to get out of your echo chamber and listen to some new ideas. Yeah. 4th one, find new and diverse voices and mentors. Yeah. I don't really need to repeat that one. I said it already. But that's been hard.
Yeah.
That's been really, really hard. And finally, number 5, we put down desire to change.
To transform.
Yeah, so like we said, evolution's not going to be an easy fix. It's not as simple as throwing money at it.
Yeah.
Having a cooler stage, having, I don't know, all kinds of external stuff. It's an internal, long, hard conversation with God, hard conversation with people who have different experiences. Hard conversations in community instead of very authoritative, just do what I say, Christianity. Yeah, you just got to really, really desire to change.
Yeah. But basically, I think one thing is like how we started off by saying that to evolve, God has to be the center of it. Because I think for us, we really believe that, hearing voices, having diverse conversations do change your perspective and your worldview, your mindsets.
Yeah.
But I think one of the key thing or one of the factor that's really important is God. Like God can really transform and move the heart in a way that we can't do for ourselves or people can't do for us. And that's so important.
Which is something we've observed in our church, right? Because we have a environment that is so diverse with ideas and voices and what we say, that our people pick up trendy social justice language very quickly. But we've also seen that that doesn't necessarily change their heart. It doesn't necessarily change the way they do relationships. Just because you attend a panel or you Instagram or like re-Instagram somebody's social justice post does not make you genuinely that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we do measure it by how kind are our people becoming, how intelligent and thoughtful in their thinking are they becoming, how good are they, how more like Jesus are they becoming. Because if they are more like Jesus, they will effect change in the world. They will effect change in the church community. They will change the way they do church.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
guess like when we talk about evolution, I think our heart is really that we want to evolve as a church to reflect the goodness of God, the
Yeah.
goodness of Jesus,
Yeah.
and the goodness of the gospel
Yeah.
in a more accurate way, in an accurate light. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is why in this podcast, we'll probably talk about anything and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Because we think God is in everything. That there is something about Jesus to be found in everything, that there's something he's got to effect in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to bridge the gap, right?
Yeah.
PC, with like God and the world. Like we
Yeah.
believe there isn't that gap.
Yeah.
And that God is seamless and God is in
Yeah.
everything and is in your life. Not just on
Yeah.
a weekend, but in every day of your life.
Yeah. So you find our church, we don't have the sacred secular divide as pronounced.
Yeah.
Not that we don't believe in sanctification, but we don't have it as pronounced. We want to be seamless. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully that told you a little bit about the evolution.
Yep.
And maybe it gives you an idea of what we might talk about in future episodes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we hope you keep joining us. So thanks for listening in. And that's it for today. So
Yes.
be good. Love people.
Yeah.
We'll see you.